Hello, good morning. My name is Mohammad Asim. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to discuss about day 13 of AWS and DevOps series and Linux-3 day 3, right? In the last session, we have discussed about the Linux architecture and we have discussed about the components of Linux architecture. Then we have discussed about how to create your first Linux thing. So that we will be starting that that EC2 instance, right? We'll go back to AWS, and first what we are going to do we are going to restart this Linux, right? Linux virtual machine which we have created. So I will just check it out over here. Just check click on this, then afterward click on the instance state, then click on the start. Okay, so it will take few seconds till that our virtual machine up and running, right? After that, one IP address will be generated from AWS, right? On this Linux, if you check, you'll find one IP address. That IP address I'm going to use, I'm able to connect to my virtual machine, right? So what we are going to discuss in this class, right? In this class, we are going to cover about Linux file system hierarchy, right? We are going to see what are the default of folders or the directory installed, right? During creating our Linux operating system virtual machine, right? So this is coming by the default like opt, var, user, and we'll go deep down about this directory, default directories, and we will discuss what this directory used cases, whereas we are going to use these cases on view where it's applicable. We'll go deep down about that, right? After that, we will see what are the basic commands in Linux operating system, how to create your file like empty file like .txt format, how you're going to create using multiple commands. Like the commands are touch, nano, vi, vim, and the cat. We will go deep down about that, and we will see how you're going to put the data inside that that file, and how you're going to delete that file, how you're going to display the content from the data from that files using the cat command. Okay, so let's go and we will go for the lab version, and we will see over here everything about that. Don't forget to share, subscribe. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe so that you receive all the updated with AWS and DevOps series, right? And the Linux everything. Okay, so let's start this session now. And some over here, if you check this drawing over here, you'll be finding some of the default, right, default file, right, file hierarchy or the file system is provided for Linux. Okay, if you check it here, you'll find that var is available, right? The user is available, the temp is available, right, in the root level directory. So whenever there you see find this forward slash, right, that means forward slash in the sense if some person is there, right, this person, where is going to fall. If I want to fall like this, so you will fall in this direction, right? So they will call it forward slash. If the said person want to fall back side, right, so how does it look? It will look like this. So that is backward slash. Okay, so let's remember this is called forward slash, this is called as backward slash. So we are proceeding with the forward slash, right? So the top level directory in the Linux is root directory, right? This is of top level directory. From here, all the directories will start. Okay, it can be var, it can be etc. Okay, it can be any option slice based on this course. So frequently used, we will discuss that, and progressively we will add in this course all deep down. We will cover all these facts of the directory, but mainly what we are going to see, right, like common users. Then we'll go for the first part. You will find as a root. Okay, this is the one which you're going to for. This is covered. It is for top level directory for the root user. Okay, root user in the Linux is same, right? And the Linux is same like in the Windows administration, right? Administrator. So if I want to execute any file or I want to install any application on my Windows laptop or Windows operating system, Windows server, then what we have to switch? We have to switch to administration access. Okay. If I want to show you this point, so just I will minimize this. Right? Let me minimize this. So let me open for a second this one, right? If I click on the right click, I'll see some of the options, right? So the point what will come, open, run, just a second. Little search over here. So I will find exactly. So if I want to click over here, mobile stream, right? So if I click on the right, see, you were seeing as run as administrator. That means run as administrator. I can run any program during installation or during execution as administrator, right? So it has some special privileges compared to all the users, right? So in the Windows is administrator, right? Same in the Linux, right? In the Linux, that is for the root user. So for the general purpose, you can call his root as super user, okay? Super admin, okay? Let's call not admin, let's call it super admin. That means I have highest permissions, right, to execute anything within the system, okay? So hope you got that concept, right? So whatever, right? So that is a home directory for the root user, okay? So this one we already discussed, right? The next point we are going to discuss about the home directory, right? So if you check it over here, you'll finding one home directory, right? The home directory is the directory for other users, okay? Any user, let's say I have one more user, that is Ubuntu, right? For them, this is the root door, the home directory, right? That is not the home directory for any user. If you're going for the Linux user administration, right? User management, then you're creating Asim as a user, Akram as a user, any user, right? Let's say Raju as a user. At that time, what will be the home directory? They will be home. Okay, they cannot go for root directory unless they have given root access or root privileges to these users. Okay, so now to understand this more easily, what we will do it, we will create one Linux virtual machine, right? Linux virtual machine that we are going to use in the complete Linux course. Okay, so I will create now and I will use for the all tutorials to the related to Linux what we are learning for the Linux operating system. So don't forget whatever I'm going to create, please create and keep it in the running state. That you can keep it while using in the running state, then you can keep it in the stop state, then restart this Linux virtual machine again, right? So this is the dashboard of Linux operating system. Okay, Linux operating system. See, what I have discussed, whatever we have discussed just now, we will tally with that itself. Okay, so let's go and check it over here. Let me on this part, right? So what I've said that if I'm not logging with admin, right, I'm with the home, right? Any user like Ubuntu, something else, what will be the home directory for me? That will be the home, right? So let me minimize this. If you check it over here, where I'm here, to this Ubuntu itself, right? If I want to pwd, right? Pwd is a command to know, right? Just to have a present working directory. So it will print me which directory I'm currently. If you click over where you are in the home directory, you got my point? Home directory. I'm not in the root because Ubuntu user does not have the permissions to go onto the root user. Okay, so you got my point. This point is clear to you now. Okay, pwd is the first command which we are covering over here. Okay, so after that, let me switch back over again. What we have discussed up to now, we have discussed 2 points. Okay, one for this one. One is what we have discussed. Linux file system. One is root. One is home. Right. Let's go for the third one. That is boot. Okay, boot. Okay, try to understand this boot itself is written as system bootloader files. So when I have created this EC2 Ubuntu machine, right? Ubuntu virtual machine. What happened? By default, they have some Ubuntu files, right? Ubuntu files. Up and run my Ubuntu operating system is required some files to run there, right? So that this Ubuntu operating system should be up and running, right? So what is that? Whatever the all OS related files, right? Whatever the OS related file is there, okay, will boot or will load, right? Will load and comes to active. So it's come to active during creation, right? During creation of this virtual machine, what I have created just now, or boot. There's 2 options. One is while creation, right? One is for the creation, right? Second one is boot. Boot, that means I'm going to reboot this for any XYZ reason, right? So let me just check it out. Reboot. Okay. There's 2 options when you're going with the creation of this Ubuntu operating system, right? Ubuntu virtual machine. At that time, the boot, what we will do, whatever the OS related file is that he will reload and load so that this Ubuntu OS system will be up and running, right? So this the boot also we have covered now. Okay. The next file what you are going to see is that we have ECT. Okay. By the term ECT, is extra, right? In general purpose we are using. So same is representing here, whatever the configuration file you'll be finding, that you'll be finding in etc. There is a one file directory, right? World directory, right? Where you are going to file ECT, all the configuration file. For example, let's say I'm going to install later on Jenkins, right? So Jenkins configuration files, you're going to find ECT. Nginx we have already covered, right? Last almost 2 sessions, right? It might be 9th or day 9. There, if you check it over, Nginx files will be available in ECT. The path will be /etc/Nginx. Okay. If I'm installing Postgres database, then also the same etc, right? Then after one Postgres. Okay. So all the configuration files related to any tool or software which you are going to deploy or run, execute, by default is executed, or you are doing manually, right? You are deploying anything, that all files will be saved. The configuration files will be saved in /etc, right? So let's see this also, right? ECT, right? What we have showed you. If I'm going with the CD also, right? Let me just click CD. So CD command is used for changing the directory. C for change, D for directory, of change directory. If you see this terminal, this is everything for the Linux operating system. So how do you validate that? If you check it over here, we call as Ubuntu. Ubuntu is Linux, right? So if you go over here, you'll be finding this is Linux. Okay, it's giving GNU. Everything is giving, right? We are using Amazon. From the Amazon, we are taking this Linux machine. So it's giving order. And it's providing the link also. If you want to refer any documentation, you can go with the help Ubuntu, landscapechronicle.com. Support, if you want anything, you can go with them, right? So this point is clear to you, right? So now one more thing is there. What I want to show you that, let's print this. So if you check it over here, what we are going to see, we are going to /root, right? We want to go to this root. So what you are saying that we don't have the permission is denied, because as I say that Ubuntu don't have the permission to you to switch to root. Okay. So in order to proceed that, the first step what you have to do is sudo, right? Sudo su, means super user. We are switching back to with the using sudo privileges. So in this case, what we will do, we will switch back to sudo, right? Su, super user. So now if you check it over here, we are currently with the Ubuntu user, right? We're switching to the root user just to show you what will be my current directory, right? Just a second. We have to use sudo su and the dash so that we go to the current directory, right? If I check what is my home directory as a root user, now I'm in the root user, right? Just print this. So where it is, I'm in the root user, right? So if you check it over here, what we have written for the root is home directory is root. Okay. Hope that give point, right? After that, what we will do it, we will just have just a second. We will go back, right? And I will use exit command to go switch back again to Ubuntu user. There is multiple users in Linux, right? By default, Ubuntu user is created by Ubuntu operating system while creation. Root user always they'll be there as in the in Windows. When you install Windows operating system, by default administration user will be created, right? We are not creating by ourselves manually. By default, it will be administrator. After that, you can create any user in Windows also. You can create like Asim, Akram based on Windows, right? The same proceed here. By default, the root user will be created that has all the privileges. By default, Ubuntu user will be created. After additional these two users, you have to create it manually. Okay. Then afterwards, if I LL over here, right? LL is a list in the format, right? LS will list NIST, right? If I use list, it say that it's not associated. So here in the Linux, you have to use LS. Yeah. Okay. If you say LS, nothing is visible, right? If I go ls-a, that means I can see all the files that is are in the dot. Okay, hidden files. Remember that point, right? And the list ls will display the files that is not hidden. ls-a will list the commands that is hidden and it's not hidden. All the files, whatever is available in the Ubuntu, directory, right? Folder Ubuntu is available. Everything it will show. One more point to add on this, right? Is that when I'm going to say, please note on this part, in the Windows, right? Windows, you have folders. Okay, folder. Whereas in Linux, it is directory. Okay, directory. So now what we are going to use? Directory. So now the terminology, what when I'm going for referring to the directory, please remember that I'm speaking about the folder only. But in the Linux, we call it directory. Some terminologies is changed for the calling. Okay. So you note this point. Okay. So okay, fine. After that, I want to show you, right? But let me go to the level, right? And use CD so that I go back to outside, right? That means to the top level. If I print, I'm dead /u. This is the top level. I cannot go below that. This is the one. As right, as if I'm going with the example, right? Then I'm going for my PC, right? By default, where I'm here, right? If I check over where I'm in the C drive, right? If I click it over here, you're able to find where I'm in the C drive. Okay, where C drive is default configured, right? When I'm going to when I'm going to install Windows operating system on my laptop, so by default C will be created. Okay, whereas D and E I have did manually. Okay, manually I've created these drives. Okay, so A and B in the Windows is always missing because they were used in the, let's cover that part also, right? Before before few years, right? Let's say 10 years, something like this. They was calling A, B, and C. Okay, A was used for the floppy. If you're not aware of what is floppy, then you can check it on the internet. There was some floppy over here. There was some program written is kind of like this, used to insert on our PC. Okay, here on PC CPU. Then we used to insert that. That drive was fixed for that. And the B drive, let me check what B drive. I don't remember now. I just missed out. Okay, let me add B drive. Windows was for second floppy. Okay, one was A4. Okay, it's also for the same, right? So what I was saying that whenever I'm saying, let me just add this. It is both were used for the one for floppy and the second floppy. Okay, so now the floppy system is gone, right? We are not using floppy. Floppy was replaced with CD and DVDs later on, right? So CD DVD came into it. We already moved back from floppies. So, but the hierarchy we were following at that time, C was used for the all the, as we are using like now for installation and configuration of your files. It will store all your like installation files, data, and everything. So these two still they are not using, but they have lost, like they have locked for this itself. After that, we are using DE. In whatever is coming up, it will come followed by CD. Okay, so this point is clear, right? So where we are discussing, we were discussing about the drives, right? So let me just minimize. Okay, as let me just open where I have my computers, right? I was opening my PC. As I mentioned that, the C will be while installing operating system of Windows. So D and E, we did additional partition of our drives, right? So whatever the configuration, like I'm installing any application, by default, it will be stored in Windows C, right? The same goes with the Linux also, right? What we have done that all the directories default, they have been created, right? Let's say which directories. If you check it over here, all the directories exist with the default. So how do I validate now? Let's check, for example, I want to go into where var directory, right? So if I want to go CD, -var as it is what is there. If you check over here, you are going into the var. Did I create this directory? Did I created this folder now, right? In Windows? No. If I print over here, what you'll find? By root, you have a root directory, right? You have a root directory. Okay, in the root, you have one var directory. Okay. The same thing is good, cd dot dot, okay, cd change directory space dot dot two dot, that will take back to the last directory from where I came. So I came from the from the root directory, right? So if I print over here, you'll be finding I'm in the root directory now, right? So one point is clear. So let's validate one more time, one more file, right? What we have discussed up to now, we have discussed 3 directories, right? We have discussed 3 directory. Let's discuss about the home directory, right? Slash home. Sorry, cd slash home. Yes, I'm into that also. So if you ls over here, you'll find that home is for the Ubuntu. Let me go back again, cd dot dot. Then if I'm going back again in the var file, I will say that my var is used. Var, okay, ls var. You'll be find this, there is some files, right? Backup, cache, lib, local, mail, opt, snap, pool, tmp, everything is available, right? So why the var is used, as I mentioned, right? So whenever you're going for the var, that will file that is expected for continuous changes. I think we have not discussed about the var. Okay, let's discuss that part also, right? So after that, we have completed this 3, right? etc. Let me show etc. So let me minimize this part. Let me go cd dot dot back, right? Cd dot dot. Then afterwards cd slash which one? Home, root, and boot, right? We have discussed boot. So if you go over here, boot, unless you will find this all files which is related to Linux, right? As I said that this all will be used by this Linux operating system when we are going to configure this Linux to make sure that Linux operating system, right, deploy on this Linux machine, this virtual machine, right? This virtual machine, and it's up and running active, right? So this is bot, okay. Root already you know, right? In the, if I swing back to root, right? If I ll over here, you'll be finding some of the detail, right? Some you have dot files, batch file. So ll also another command, right? It's used to list hidden file and hidden files and unhidden file. What means normal files? If you ls over here, you're finding only the file which are not hidden, okay? But if I want to see the files which are hidden, then I can go with the ls a, that will print me in the horizontal way, okay? But I want this one in linear way, so I'll go with ll. So I'm getting all this in linear way, so that is my readability and the details like what permission do I have, this we will cover, but you will get some more metadata of this folders and the files and the hidden files, okay? You got my point. So what we have discussed up to now, root, home, bot, right? etc also we have discussed, right? If I go back to etc, if I ll over, you'll find this all configurations files, okay? See, Linux, security, right? This shell, right? This all configure by default, it was installed when I have configured this this Linux operating system, right? This is clear to you. Then we have a few more also which are very important, right? That let me clear now screen and take one more time. The one is you're going with the user, okay, USR. So you'll find over here there is user where you'll find some file that is only read-only user files, okay. So there all packages available in the users, okay, USR, all packages. So like whatever the package is required for this operating system, right, Linux and everything, that will be used. So let me go and switch over here, right? cd slash, okay, USR, hit enter. So if I ll over here, you will to find that, you know, this all the packages is available, like games include, libraries are there, we have sbin is there, share are there, and src are there. This all related to what? These packages are related to currently for Linux operating system. If I go for the bin, you know very well, right? The bin is used whenever you're going to delete anything. You will find some of the things, right? VMware bins, right? Where whenever you're going to deleting anything, some time temporary that's going to store, right? So this is available. If I ll over here, you'll find local src. Let's go in the src source file, right? If I ll over here, you'll to find some, this is with the Linux AWS header, right? Okay, we'll not go into the deep of this. This is only first to right? Second lecture. So we'll make it as simple as here. What I'm going to discuss about what are the file hierarchy system is available, right? File system hierarchy. Okay. So after that, we will go use cd dot dot to go back, and I will use one more cd dot dot to go back. Okay, in the practice. Then afterwards, we will cover one more root directory, right? We'll go with the sbin, right? Here you are storing system binaries. Okay, simply whatever the commands, not only root user, anyone who are the user, right? It's root user or any Ubuntu user or RFing user, if it's created, right? But all user commands and everything will be executed with this system binaries. Okay, so if I want to cross check this one, let's go in cd/sbin, right? So if I have LL over here, what you'll find, you all find all the some additional details, right? Unix, in everything you'll be finding sudo. See, you go receive sudo, right? Sudo login, sudo login, right? So if you enter over here, it's not a directory. Okay, cat sudo login. So it's showing some details, right? So whatever I'm going to use, like I'm using this color extra, let me check what is given, color everything. Okay, so this commands, this it will store, what will store? It will store not only any the root user, or anyone can use this directory to execute the commands. Okay, so to exit this, I'll be using Control C or Control D. Oh, accidentally I have type. Okay, sudo su. Okay, we have discussed about that. So now what are remaining? Let's discuss that point also. The remaining files what I have is, right? So this is root. From here, all the files is distribution, right? What are the major? We have var, right? Var is used where the file is expected to change continuously, right? For example, let's say I have one Nginx, right? One example that I have already covered Nginx, right? Nginx web server. Okay, that is fetching my static website, right? Whatever website, let's say sbi.com or GoDaddy, right? GoDaddy or aws.com. Let's say aws.com, for example, right? So I have created this by myself, right? I have used Nginx web server. So what happened? I'm expected to change this, right? These files, right? I'm going to add new, maybe change of background of my website. I may add new functions, new pages to my website, everything. So what you expect? You expect to change, always change in this directory. So that directory name is .var. Okay. Even if you're going with the Jenkins, right? The Jenkins way. If I'm going to deploy Jenkins, one file will be created over here, like var. Okay. Then you have one library over here. In that, Jenkins will be installed. In the Jenkins, one workspace will be created. Okay. So this Jenkins, whenever you're going to create new CI/CD pipeline, anything you're going to change, right? Every time these Jenkins files will be changing, right? Because you are going to trigger the pipeline, you are going to build, you are going to fail, you're going to delete everything. So what you expect? That is continuously changing these files. So that kind of files will be saved in /var. Okay. So that also we can check it over here. In this case is a cd/var, right? If you enter here, you're finding there is a library, local, mains, opt, right? Snap, tool, temp files. Okay. If I'm going for opt, you'll be finding maybe some data, right? Currently, we don't have anything, right? If I'm going for the backup, you know that periodically you can keep the backup of your Linux operating system, right? Just a second, I have to go. cd, I'll use dot dot. Then I'll go backup cd space. One more important point you have to notice, in the Linux, you must use only small letters. You are not going to use the capital letters unless it's required in some terminology. Okay. The statement which I'm giving, it may change in the when we go in the course. I will tell you that there you have to use some of the letters, right? It is minus, you can say that, 98% all your commands and everything will be in the small letters. Okay, 98%. Some cases you may to add few letters or few alphabets in capital. Okay, that we will progressively we will update to you. But currently take the statement, whatever you are going to write the command, that has to be in small letters. Okay, all should be having small letter, and there should be no spacing between your spaces. When I say right AES, I have given one space, for example, K. Linux will consider this two as a separate. Okay. So to separate this, there is space. Okay. So there is no space available in the Linux. If you want to add that new file, then like I want to call one AS file, I want to call one K file. Two files I'm going to call it. At that time, I have to give space. If I don't give space, then it will be considered as one file only. So it's a conditional, right? But in this case, if you want to call only one name or one file, then there is no space should be given. It will act as separate files. Okay, these two statements you remember. All the caps should be, all the letters should be, commands and everything should be in small letters. Okay, and whatever you are going to type, you should type like, let's say I want to go in cd back, right? Cd dot cd dot, I'm giving wantedly space and dot. So print height. So it's saying too many argument, because it's considering this is two arguments. Okay, one argument, two argument. So if you go cd dot dot, it will consider as one argument only. Okay, if you ll here, you will find all the details, right? So this point is clear to you, right? So after that, what we have the files over here, you have media file, right? These files such as cd-rom or something, wherever you're going to store some cd. This is not frequently used, but you can know about that. Library file, you'll be having share library modules, right? Whatever the modules you have, share library, that kind of things you'll be finding. etc, as already say that host specific, right? Like nginx or something, configuration files will be stored, right? The device files, okay, will be stored. Bot, as I mentioned already, root, run. So run here is that run programmable data will be stored over there. So this progressive will be adding, but currently the major part you have to remember is this is, right, the var. Let me take this color as yellow. Var, okay, you have to take opt, the frequently home for the users, right, except root user, root. Okay, and then we have sbin, right? Then afterwards you have ect 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, remember this six one, okay, which is frequently used. The remaining are temporary files or cache files, something else that we can use is progressively. Okay, you got my file system. You have got all the details. Linux file system, and this that GF is created by Gina Acosta. Okay, as is open source, just to make you more sure, like animation ways, so that you should have the knowledge. I'm just giving this domain on this one. Please, if you have any issue, I'll give the rights to also. I'll add the rights Gina. Don't worry about that. Okay, so this point is done. Then afterwards, what we will show it as a set, we will cover some commands. Okay, so let's complete this part. This part is over, but progressively we'll be adding, and I will updating you while we are working on the Linux operating system, right? So now we'll go over here. Let me go back over cd. Okay, now we will cover some of the commands, right? Whenever you are going to switch to root user, what you have to do it, you have to use sudo su. So what you have to do it, you have to write your notes. Okay, take these notes, right? Take these notes so that you remember. Okay, so let me add over here, and I will add switch to root user. Okay, when I'm going to I want to switch to root user, at that time I will be using this sudo su. You got my point? Sudo su. Let me exit first so that I can ask exit, right? If I use exit, then I'm into the Ubuntu user. Then I'm using sudo su. The first command, I'm switching to root user. The same way, if I'm going to where I'm currently, I'm in the directory of home and Ubuntu, right? I don't want to be, if you're going to use sudo su, you will be changing only your user, but you will be in the current directory only. Okay. But if you want to be in the root top level directory, then you have to give the prompt as sudo s dash. Okay, if you hit enter, where you will be into the root directory now. Okay, you're not in the Ubuntu, you are in root directory. How do I validate? pwd is for the present work directory. Hit enter, you'll be finding I'm in the root user, right? If I'm going for cd, right, if I ll, I will prompt, sorry, ll, you'll be finding pwd, you'll be finding I'm in the root user, right? Practice, right? Whether practice this everything, so we can proceed for the next class also. Okay, don't forget to share, subscribe.